Hi, welcome to the Grandma's Wealth Wisdom Station. Really glad to have you here, and I'm really pleased to be welcoming Anne Andrews / Anne Catherine. We'll tell you more about the difference there in the today's what we're sharing today. We're going to be discussing what can beauty teach us about money. As women, we're often thinking about beauty, and there's actually some really cool transferring of what we think about when it comes to beauty that can relate to our money as well. And so Anne has some really great things to share about beauty that I'm hoping will inspire a really interesting conversation around money as well. First, before I welcome Anne, I want to tell you a little bit about her. She is a clothing and wardrobe coach who works one-on-one with women. And she's been doing that for over 20 years. And through that, it didn't take long for her to learn that most of her clients, no matter their age, shape, or size, walk around with a feeling of not measuring up. And it's no wonder. We all know fashion, TV, magazines, movies, advertisements. They all tell us what we should look like. And though we might not be fully aware, we take what they put out there, we internalize it, and it's totally unattainable and distorted. And it doesn't feel good, in Anne's words. So she began this deep personal inquiry into the meaning of beauty. What is it? Is beauty important? Why do we so often feel at odds with ourselves? And she wrote that she believes beauty is essential to our well-being. And I love this idea that beauty already exists, and that her gift and what she loves to do is to reveal that beauty that's already there. And I'll let her tell you more about that. So welcome, Anne.
Thanks, Amanda. I was going to say, well said. And then I remember I wrote that. So.
Yeah. That is directly from her about page at annecatherine.com. So Anne, fill in a little bit of the holes. Tell us a little bit about how you came to fashion and wardrobe kind of things, and how that your story has evolved over the years.
I came to fashion because I was on the phone with a friend when my daughter was 3, and I had quit my job to stay home with her. And I said to my friend, "What should I do with my life?" And she said, "Well, be a fashion designer, duh." And I went, "Okay." So I took a couple of classes and started a business. I kind of jump into things. So that's how it all started.
Yeah. And so you finished the classes, you have a job. What was that initial experience like?
You know, I had run an office for 12 years, so I knew the number part of it. I actually used to do general ledgers, Amanda, by hand. So I knew that side of it, and designing comes very naturally for me. So I just jumped in. You know, that's what I do. I dive first, and then I hit my head, and then I have to learn the hard way. But it was great. I invited about 20 friends over, sewed up and designed 60 pieces, and had a sellout show. That was my first experience. So it was great.
Wow. Nice.
So then, small scale, but it was still successful. So it was great.
Great. That's awesome that you had that initial success. What were the like road bumps that you encountered along the way that have like transformed your story?
Oh my goodness. The clothing world and clothing design, there are so many steps that need to be taken to get a product to market. And when I say market, it was market at my home because I never mass produced anything. So, but with patterns and pattern makers and sewers and buying fabric and thread and pins and markers, and there are so many steps that go into making a piece of clothing. It was absolutely exhausting. And because my customer service was so good, working one-on-one with women, if somebody would say, "Oh, can you take a 1/4 inch off that sleeve?" I would say yes. Well, I basically got burned out. So I had to rethink the whole thing. And in 2006, I quit my clothing business and went into interior design, only to go back into clothing. And now I'm doing wardrobes and speaking and a lot of consulting.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about what you're doing now and what life looks like for you now.
Right now, I'm writing a course, and the course is called Permission to Be Beautiful because, as you said in the intro, every woman I've worked with on some level feels badly about the way she looked. And again, as you said in the intro, I took a deep dive into this word beauty, and I realized it's really within us, and women are taking cues from the fashion industry, and it's not working for them. I mean, they think it is in the moment, then fashion changes, and then it's like, okay, well, now I feel crummy again. Now what do I wear? So we're always looking out there for how to look. And this is not the case with men. Men have I'll call it a uniform, for lack of a better word. They go to their closet and pull out a shirt and a pair of pants and off they go. And that's really the end of thinking about what do I look like today. So I'm not advocating for a uniform for the women in your audience, but I do think that men have, by having a similar things that they wear, it creates a very level playing field for them in their professional life. And there isn't the comparison or the competition about the clothes. I mean, I'm not saying they don't struggle with other things. I'm sure they do, but not that. I think that's something that is particular to women. And I honestly think it's hurting us.
Yeah. So walk us through, like, if someone says, okay, I love this whole idea. I love what you're talking about. I want permission to be beautiful. Tell us, like, step one, maybe, like, define beauty for us.
Oh, I could define beauty for you is, I think beauty is a very, very high vibration word. I think beauty is a resonance. I think it has a resonance. I think we all respond to it. It is something that we not only see, beauty is something we experience. And I feel that our culture has hijacked beauty and replaced it with glamour and provocativeness and all this, these sexualized versions of women that really don't have much to do with beauty. The word is interwoven in there. So the first part of your question, Amanda, was how do people start? And I really get women to tune in first to where they are. And it's by using words. What are the words you say to yourself when you look in the mirror in the morning? What do you say to what is the feeling you get when someone says you're beautiful, to really get a sense of where they are? And as we go through the exercises, I get them very much in tune with fashion words, going from the word provocative all the way down to timeless, and having them feel these words in their body. And I can see the light bulbs starting to go off when I do this exercise. And we start to wrap it up, after 40 minutes when I do a talk. And I say to them, write down what is important to you. What are your core values, not only for yourself, but for your business? They're probably going to be the same. What do you want people to walk away with after they've met you? So they write down words like professional, confident, kind, giving, all these words. And when women start to tune into these words inside themselves, their beauty becomes revealed. And that's pretty much how it works. That's a shortcut. For a lot of us, there's some really bad patterning and long-term patterning that we have to undo. So it's not like we're done, but the light bulb does go off in a lot of women very quickly, and then they can work with me privately or however. There's many ways to get more information.
Yeah, I want to talk more about, like, what happens after that light bulb, that aha moment. And as you're, like, thinking about that side, I want to tie this into money for a second, because I see so many parallels, right? So the fashion industry, we have the advertisers telling us what real wealth looks like, right? You need to have this much money in your 401k, or you need to be investing in these funds, or, whatnot, where, if you look at what wealth really means and the definition of wealth, it has nothing to do with money whatsoever. It's a feeling. It has that high resonance, word that you talked about when you think about it in that way. And when we can go through some of those words, like, that get thrown around by the advertisers, like diversification, and safety, and we can think, how do those really apply to the kind of wealth I want to build, the kind of wealth that I'm bringing out of myself and into the world? And maybe some of it is tangible, like money, even though money is not really tangible. It's bits in a computer these days, right? But that kind of inner work I see as being the beginning of that. And like you shared, when you decide, here's what I want wealth to be like for me, you find some of those words. In beauty, it was professional and confident, right? In wealth, it might be community, right? Or like legacy. Then you can start to align then what you want your money to do for you, what you want the other kinds of wealth that you have to do for you with those words. So let's come back to beauty. A lady has this aha moment. What happens next?
Well, that's a great question, because this just happened in a talk that I did. So I did the talk and I had them say, write down, what do you say when you look in the mirror? So she said, her question at the end of it was, well, Anne, how do I apply words to my wardrobe? And at that moment she went, oh, the words that I wrote down to what I say to myself when I look in the mirror is, you look frumpy. And then she looked at her words, and they were actually something like confident, professional, confident, professional, and something else.
Yeah.
But she realized in that moment that she actually did look professional, but because part of herself was comparing herself to fashion, that's where the word frumpy came in. So she got it like right away. I wish I had that third word, but I don't. But she just got it. I help women build I call it a platform of 3 words. It often becomes their mantra that they walk around with, because we have a lot of unplugging to do from the culture. And I think that probably will answer your question.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds, it's kind of we've been brainwashed. We need to go through a de-brainwashing period, and then develop these things like mantras, the news story we want to tell ourselves from there.
Absolutely. See, you got it right away, Amanda.
This is what I do all day long too. So I want to dig into a little bit more of how you're kind of codifying this into a course, creating this permission to be beautiful, this next thing that you're doing, like the next iteration of your work. What is that going to look like, and how does that build on what you've been doing with speaking and working with women one-on-one?
Well, it actually all works together. I started off with a book because people said, if you're going to be a speaker, you need a book. See, right? Outside information. So I started writing a book, and for some reason it just pivoted into a course, because it's a step-by-step thing. And again, we start with really self-assessment and where we are. And I work people through not only the fashion words, but what are the values that are important to you. So I take them to this step-by-step process that actually unfolds beautifully in a course. I've already had it looked at by 3 people, and they went, wow. I said, really? Yeah, wow. So it's very a course is actually a great way to get this information across, because women can take their time with it. Yeah. They may want to go through it really quickly. They may really want to take their time with it and first become cognizant of the patterns that they have carried their whole lives, whether it's something that their mom said to them when they were little, like, oh, you're so chubby, or you're not as pretty as your sister, or whatever it is. We all have these stories. And then I have them look at the cultural reference points. What do you see? What did you see when you were a kid that may have impacted you? And I always give examples in my course. And my example for that is, well, I saw the fashion magazines were getting increasingly more provocative when I was young. And when we moved deeper on into the course, I got women in touch with the feelings. So I brought back that example of, I saw that fashion magazines were getting more provocative. How'd that make me feel? Well, it made me feel self-conscious about my own body. So I have my people who will purchase a course really not only go back to when they were young and uncovering these things, but also the culture, adding it all up, and then starting to, I call it creating new reference points, which are the words: confidence, professionalism, inspiration, mastery. There's so many of them. So that's how we do it.
Great. And who, like, I imagine you have like an ideal student in mind when you're creating this course. Who's going to benefit the most from permission to be beautiful?
Any woman who feels uncomfortable about the way they look, and that's most women, because I just talked to a woman who was probably in her 70s, and she was like, "Oh my God, I want you to teach this course to my group." I'm like, "Okay." And then I'll talk to other people who say, "Oh, I think my daughter's going to want to do this course." So it spans all ages, all races. I'm really fortunate. I have a very big target market here. And my goal really is to get women out of this, not only individual pain, but collective pain that we carry as women, because I think we're in a paradigm shift anyway. And when we can get this monkey off our back of how we look, I think it's really going to help. And when I say that, I don't mean to get up out of your bed and go to work and say, "Oh, well, we're not doing this." No, wanting to show up beautiful is something we all long for, and it's an aspect of self-care. So that's really important. It's just what reference points are we using as to what is beautiful? So we have to look within.
Yeah. You said one of the words that I look for a lot and sticks out to me, you said paradigm shift. And we are in this age of transition where some of the old things are falling away and being transformed into new things. And feminine beauty is one of those things. And so I love that you're helping usher in that transition and see it become more fuller more quickly. Would you say that's true?
I would, and I have this underlying fear I'm going to get a lot of pushback, because there is the body positive movement, there is the Me Too movement, but a lot of what women are doing is to claim power. They're stripping their clothes off, and I'm going, well, that's interesting. I think the guys have their clothes on, and they've got the power, so why are we taking ours off? So it's kind of this idea that expressing your sexuality really boldly is a powerful thing, and I don't really agree with that. I think if you have a pair of 8-inch heels, you can't run, so that doesn't make you very powerful. So this is where I'm a little worried about putting this out there, but I've gotten enough information that I'm going for it.
Yeah, my example of that, I don't wear makeup. That's just a choice that I've made. And part of it is both a reaction to, well, if a man can go on video and not wear makeup, why should I, right? Or if they're not wearing makeup in their day-to-day, I don't have to in order to be professional and confident. But I also recognize, like, taking care of my skin and presenting myself as my true self, right? Where instead of like, there's something wrong with my skin, or something like that would be a distraction, right? So I can choose to say, I have the power, right? I don't have to wear makeup to look pretty, but I can also say, but I do want to feel confident in my skin. And that means a good skincare routine using, great products.
Exactly. It doesn't mean giving up this desire. I think it's innate in both men and women to feel attractive. Again, it's a self-care, it's a self-respect thing.
Yeah.
And this word attractive is so interesting, because what is it we're trying to attract is really the question I think that we need to ask ourselves as women, because we're attracting all sorts of things I don't think we really want. So I think it's really just giving women new reference points, asking new questions, and ask us all, what is this that we want to create in this new paradigm?
Yeah.
Because I think the patriarchy is being dismantled. So how are women going to show up while it's being dismantled? We have an opportunity here.
Yeah. And we totally don't have time to dig into this fully, but I'll just give a teaser that money is also patriarchal, and that is also falling away, and a new paradigm is coming. And I'm looking forward to helping usher that in, so much that I'm working on a new initiative, a new program that is going to look at money from a feminine perspective. So that's coming soon, from Grandma's Wealth Wisdom and from me personally.
What's the name of your program, Amanda?
Well, tentatively, it's called Financial Independence Female Entrepreneurs, or FIFE for short.
Okay.
I'm playing around with, how does that come across? What does that look like? Yeah, to be determined.
Yeah, I know how that is.
Yeah.
We have to run it by other people just to make sure that it's flowing well. So yeah. Well, congratulations. That's exciting. We're both launching something.
Yes, for sure. So give me a little bit, just personally, what is something that's bringing you hope right now? And then we'll wrap up with some ways that people can get in touch with you.
It's really funny. Ever since COVID hit, I calmed down. I think life is going at a pace that much more suits me. But I also have, I think, spiritual reference points that allow me to really zoom out to what's going on. And I hope and pray there's a reason for all this, and that we are going to come out of this all the better as humans. There will definitely, obviously, already is some suffering, and a lot of it, but I do think we are going to come out of this better, more evolved, and more connected. And that's really, I think, our reason for being on this planet anyway. So yeah, I remain very positive and very hopeful about what's going on. Go figure.
That's great.
It's
That's good.
Counterintuitive, I know, but that's where I land.
Yeah, as a perpetual optimist myself, I feel you. So I'm going to put your website up, AnnCatherine.com. What will people find when they get there?
Well, what they will find is really the services I provide, but I'm actually having my whole website redone because there's so much more that I do that people can't access on my website. So what they can do is if they're interested, just get in touch with me, and I'll keep them on an email list or something, so that when I come out with a course, or I come out with private coaching, or all these things that I offer, if they're interested, that would be the way, is just send me an email and I'll put you in a list, because the new website should be done in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, great. Well, please reach out to Ann if you want to explore more about beauty with her. I have actually worked with her a little bit to make sure that I'm presenting myself well on video, and she was tremendously helpful in that regard. So please connect with her, look at how she could help you as well, to show up in beauty every day, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Great. So thanks for joining us. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and then the bell so that you get future interviews and conversations from Grandma's Wealth Wisdom.